Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Girivardhari Jashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Jaja Shudra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Jaja Shudra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Śrila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Nantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Samveda Bhaktin Vinda Ki Jai Go Premanandi All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories assembled devotees, all glories, Sisi Guru and Sri Gauranga. So today, as mentioned earlier, it's the disappearance day of Mukunda Dat. Sri Sridhar Pandit And of course, Snanayatra there in Puri. I don't know if it's already happened. Is there a day ahead of us, or it's tomorrow? So they're a day behind. Okay. Have you been Snanayatra in Puri when you were at Gurukula? Didn't drag you down there? Okay. The Rath Yatra. Okay. So the question is, should we do Bhagavatam verses first, and if we have time, read a little bit? First? Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So the first is Mukunda Dat, associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and it says here that in Braja, in Krishna Lila, there were two very nice singers named Madhukanta and Madhubrata. They appeared in Chaitanya Lila as Mukunda and Vasudev Datta. They're brothers, right? Also. Who were singers in the society of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Lord Chaitanya was a student, Mukunda Datta was his class friend, and they frequently engaged in logical arguments. Mukunda Datta gave Lord Chaitanya pleasure by reciting verses from Srimad Bhagavatam about Krishna Lila. And let's see here. It says, when Mukunda Datta sang in the courtyard of Śiva's Prabhu, this is the night nocturnal kirtans, Mahaprabhu danced with his singing, and when Lord Chaitanya for 21 hours exhibited an ecstatic manifestation known as Shata Pariya, Mukunda Datta inaugurated this function by singing. Sometimes Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised Mukunda Datta by calling him Kada Jatiya, Beta, because he attended many functions held by different classes of non-devotees. It says that before Lord Chaitanya was going to take sannyas, he went to Mukunda Datta's house to tell him about his plan. And Mukunda Datta asked him to stay a few more days. Sankirtan movement here in Navadvip. So, is Mukunda Datta the one that Lord Chaitanya told him about going to the Mayavadis? And he said, you cannot have my association anymore. And then he was very, very upset. And then the devotees came and asked Lord Chaitanya about that. And here it is. He was forbidden to enter the association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because of his mixing with the Mayavadi impersonalists. And then he was told, the devotees informed the Lord that Mukunda Datta was waiting outside the Shiva Sangha, the Kirtan. He said, I shall not soon be pleased with Mukunda Datta, for he explains devotional service among devotees, but then goes to Mayavadis to hear from them the Yoga Vasis, the Yoga Vasishta Ramayan, which is full of Mayavad philosophy. For this I am greatly displeased with him. And then it says he asked them, well, when can I come back into your association? And he said that you can come back like a million births or something. And Mukunda Datta started dancing in ecstasy, thinking, I just have 1,000,000 births, I'll be right back. Like that. So they were great kirtan leaders, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he invited him. Yes, yeah, he didn't wait 1,000,000 births, but just okay. There's a lot here. So we'll go on to Kolavecha Sridhar, or Sridhar Pandit. He was a very poor man, very, very poor, and he would do a small business selling cups made from the trees of leaves of banana or plantain trees, and his income was almost nothing. Still, he was spending 50% of his small income on the worship of the Ganges, and another 50% he was somehow or other living. Once Lord Chaitanya revealed himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead to Kolavecha Sridhar and offered him any opulence he might like. But Sridhar informed the Lord they did not want any material opulence. He was quite happy in his present position and wanted only to gain unflinching faith and devotion unto the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. Let's see here. It says in Krishna Lila, he was a cowherd boy named Kusama Sava, who joked with Lord Krishna and made him laugh. So he appeared in that time. And they used to have fights, right? He would come and he'd buy bananas. He wanted to buy bananas. And Yeah. Lord Nimai was a boy. He said, I don't want to pay for these bananas, or just give me a discount. Like that, they'd go back and forth fighting about everything. Let's see here. He said, on the whole, he was so very poor that he lived in a cottage that had a broken roof with many holes in it. So it's one thing to live in a grass hut, but a grass hut with hardly a roof. That's pretty poor. He could not afford brass utensils, and therefore he drank water from an iron pot. Nevertheless, he was a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There's so many things to say here. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started his civil disobedience movement in defiance of the Qazi, Sridhar danced in jubilation. The Lord used to drink water from his water jug. Sridhar presented a squash to Sachi Devi to cook before Lord Chaitanya took sannyas. And every year he did go to Jagannath Puri to see Lord Chaitanya. He'd made that trip. Like that. Okay. And then as far as Snanayatra, my goodness, there's a lot here. It says the special bath of Lord Jagannath takes place on the Purniyam, that's today, in the month of Jeshta, to commemorate the appearance of Lord Jagannath. According to the Skanda Purana, when Raj Indradumna installed the wooden deities, he arranged this bathing ceremony. So it goes so far back. This day is considered to be the birthday of Lord Jagannath. It's held on the full moon. It attracts thousands of visitors. Would you say thousands or more than thousands? Hundreds of thousands of visitors come for this festival. Okay. I just want to, there's so much here. It says, for this day they collect water. Is this in the scriptures? This may be from the scriptures, but interesting here. It says here, for that bathing ceremony, they collect water from remote jungles where it remains untouched even by the shadow of the animals. On the previous day of Snanayatra, the images of Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra, along with the image of Sudarshan, are ceremonially brought out from the sanctum in the procession to the Snani Vedi. It's a special pandal in the temple precinct. It's called Snana Mandapa, and it's at such a height that visitors standing outside the temple, outside the wall, they can actually see what's going on. So it's a public darshan. All kinds of different perfumes are offered. There's all kinds of music playing. Thousands of devotees jostle and crave for a look at the deities in procession. That's a nice way to put a crowd in India. They jostle and crave for a look. It's a mob, ecstatic mob. It says the bathing procedure is as follows. After Mangal Artik, the Sauras and Mahasauras go in a ceremonial procession to fetch water from the Shuna Kau, golden well, and 130 vessels of copper and gold. All of them cover their mouths with a piece of cloth as not to contaminate it even with their breath. Should we start doing that on the altar? Maybe I should wear that when I bathe Govardhan. Just cover my, like that. Then all the vessels filled with water are preserved in the Bhoga Mandap. And then the Brahmin priest purify the water with turmeric and whole rice, banachera, chandan, aguru, flowers, perfumes, and medicinal herbs. The bathing takes place during the morning hours of the Purnim Titi. The vessels are carried from the Bhoga Mandap, a long single-line procession. This ritual is called Jala Dibasa, Jala water Abhishek bath. Okay. Just There's so much detail here. It says here, due to the amount of bathing liquids they are offered to cool the Lord's transcendental body at this time, bear in mind that this is the hottest time in India, just prior to the refreshing monsoon rains. The Lord's painted form takes a bit of a washout. The coloration of the deities' faces are painted on with naturally earthy mineral paints, not modern oil-based paints. So when the water is applied to cool their forms, it also has an effect of washing away the features of the former painting. As usual, the Lord has a plan to make everything go smoothly. And that's why they have for the 2 weeks he's in seclusion, they repaint the bodies of Jagannath, but especially in Puri, that's because the kind of paint they use just washes off during Snana Yatra, most of it. Okay. There's all kinds of different references to different scriptures telling different stories. And after the Snana Yatra, the deities are kept away from public view for 15 days, and during all these days, the daily rites of the temple remain suspended. That's interesting. Well, it's just for Jagannath, so everything's transferred to... That's interesting. I guess he's not feeling well, right? So it's adjusted. Yes, the deities are kept in a special sick room called the Ratan Vedi inside the temple. Okay. So some say that he looks a little off color because of the bathing. That expression, you don't look too good, you're off color, so because all the paint got washed off, they say he looks off color, and therefore they repaint the deities. And of course, then Jagannath comes out, and there's the Rath Yatra festivals. But boy, they list all kinds of. During this period, the deities eat only fruits and water mixed with cheese. Does that mean curd or yogurt? Probably yogurt or something, cheese. And dasmula medicines to cure his fever. Okay. They actually have the king's physician come and treat Lord Jagannath. Okay. Just scrolling through here because a lot of these we already covered. They're just different accounts of the exact same thing. Okay. So we can end here and go to the Bhagavatam. And it gets into a lot of philosophy about Lord Jagannath being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. So Jagannath Swami Ki Jai. So this morning we've been requested to read 2 verses, right? That will get us all caught up. Is that what it is? Are these 35 and 36? Okay. Are these lights on all the way, fully up?
I think so.
I'm just curious. I noticed that yesterday. Maybe it's me. Fading. My eyesight. Okay. So reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th canto, 12th chapter, texts 35 and 36. Which one's on the board? 35, okay. Skane Vretasi So Pasyad Atmanam Devamayaya Jadikritam Nripa Shreshta Sanyavartata Kashmalad Skane Retasi So Pasyad Atmanam Devamayaya Jadikritam Nripasreshta Sanyavartata Kashmalat Skane Retasi So Pasyad Atmanam Devamayaya Jadi Kritam Nripasrishta Sanyavartatakashmalat. Anyone like to chant? Skani retasi sopasyat Atmanam Devamayaya Kritam Nipasrishta Sanya Bhartata Kashmalat. Pasyat Atmanam Devamaya Jadi Kritam Nipasrishta Sanya Bhartata Kashmalat. Shkane retasito pashat Atmanam Devamaya Jadi Kritam Niribhasreshta Sanyavartata Kashmalat. Ladies? Retasiso pasyad Atmanam Devamaya Jadi Kritam Niribhasreshta Sanyavartata Kashmalat. Ladies. Skane retasi sopasyad Atmanam Devamaya Jadi Kritam Niribhasreshta Sanyavartata Kashmalat. Anyone else? Online? Any unembodied voices? Okay, word for word. Skane, when fully discharged. Retasi, the semen. Saha, Lord Śiva. Apasyat, saw. Atmanam, his own self. Devamaya, by the Maya of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Jadi Kritam, had become victimized as a fool. Nripasreshta, O best of kings. Maharaj Parikshit. Sanyavartata, restrained himself further. Kashmalat, from illusion. Translation. O Maharaj Parikshit, best of kings, when Lord Śiva had fully discharged semen, he could see how he himself had been victimized by the illusion created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus he restrained himself from any further maya. Purport. Once one is agitated by lusty desires upon seeing a woman, those desires increase more and more, but when semen is discharged in the act of sex, the lusty desires diminish. The same principle acted upon Lord Śiva. He was allured by the beautiful woman Mohini Murti, but when his semen had been fully discharged, he came to his senses and realized how he had been victimized as soon as he saw the woman in the forest. If one is trained to protect his semen by observing celibacy, naturally he is not attracted by the beauty of a woman. If one can remain a brahmachari, he saves himself so much trouble in material existence. Material existence means enjoying the pleasure of sexual intercourse, yanmaitunadi grihamedi sukham. If one is educated about sex life and is trained to protect his semen, he is saved from the danger of material existence. Text 36. Atavagata mahatmya atmano jagadatmana aparigneya viryasya nameme tadu buddham. Translation. Thus Lord Śiva could understand his position and that of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has unlimited potencies. Having reached this understanding, he was not at all surprised by the wonderful way Lord Viṣṇu had acted upon him. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, is known as all-powerful because no one can excel him in any activity. In Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, 7th verse, the Lord says, Matta parataram nanyat kinchid asti dhananjaya. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. No one can equal the Lord or be greater than him, for he is the master of everyone. As stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, 5th chapter, 142nd verse, Ekale Ishwara Kṛṣṇa Ara Sabha Britya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the only master of everyone, including even Lord Śiva, what to speak of others. Lord Śiva was already aware of the supreme power of Lord Viṣṇu, but when he was actually put into bewilderment, he felt proud to have such an exalted master. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksul Unminitaismai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapatantikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakti Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakapatarubhascha kripa sindhu bevacha patidanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So by your good wishes and prayers, I'll try to say a few words. First thing I'll say is, could you open that door a little bit? Let some air in here. Okay. So 2 verses this morning. So this is getting pretty much close to the conclusion of this particular pastime when Lord Śiva asks Lord Viṣṇu to show him his Maya. Now actually this is not the Maya of this material world though. Mohini Murti is referred to as illusion, but actually it's not the Maya of this material world. It's a particular form because Lord Shiva's he's actually married to the material energy personified, and he's pretty much beyond his attraction to this material world. And he's known as Dhira. He's just completely undisturbed, pretty much undisturbed completely by the material nature. And he's fully absorbed and meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His worshipful deity is Sankarshan. That's the particular form of the Lord he's meditating on. And he wanted to see, because he was there, the churning of the ocean. He said, wow, because Mohini Murti came and then disappeared. And he was thinking, that is an amazing form. Could you show me that form again? Probably a question he regrets asking. But the Lord wanted to engage him in a particular pastime with so many, and it came out a little bit before this, where he's running by all the different sages and so on. It's a few very, I say essential lessons. Actually, essential lessons come out in all the Lord's pastimes. That's why he has those pastimes, to teach us different lessons. So, and engaging Lord Śiva, who is Mahadev, the greatest of the Devatas. And practically speaking, there is no difference between Lord Śiva and Lord Viṣṇu. He's the personified glance of Viṣṇu, but still there is some difference. And through this particular pastime, a few things. One is that Lord Shiva's response to what had happened, and how powerful the illusory energy is. Both energies bewilder the jiva, both the spiritual energy and the material energy. You could say bewilder the living entity as far as who Krishna is. But we're talking now about what's going on in the material world and how one can become completely bewildered no matter how great they think they are. And actually it's one of the big pitfalls in spiritual life. It's called pratishta. Doesn't know what pratishta means? What does pratishta mean? Position. It's one. Actually, everyone in the material world is jockeying for some position, right? We want some position. So that tendency can even, it does until one is completely purified, even in spiritual life. One is anxious for pratishtha, position, to be honored by others, to be thought of as being an advanced person, whatever that advance may be. In the material world, people want pratishtha because they're very wealthy or very, very powerful or whatever, big enjoyer, like that. And that, like they say, goes to their head, goes to the head. The head becomes inflated, like that. One has a big head, like that. There's one devotee who's giving a lecture, he's talking about false ego, our false egos. He said, if it actually could be manifested, he said it'd be so big you couldn't even walk into the temple room to bang the doors, because our false ego is so big, because I couldn't even get into the... If it was actually a manifest element, we couldn't even, get through a door. It's so big, our false ego. So here's Lord Śiva, most respected of all the devatas, and through this pastime it shows that even no matter who you are, Krishna can bewilder you. Krishna's energy can bewilder you and humble you, pretty much humble you quite a lot. So one has to be very, very careful about pratishtha. If one always sees himself as an eternal servant of the Lord, one doesn't have to worry about these things, or to the extent one sees it. And that's being referred to in the first purport. Baba was talking about being brahmachari. Brahmachari means one who's very, very enthusiastically engaged in trying to understand Brahman, or spiritual life. And because of that full absorption, they're not so much attracted to this material world. And they're cautious. They've learned. So what's being read in this purport is the antithesis of what people are being taught today. Just like here it's described, oh, Lord Śiva, after this all happened, it's like he realized, I'm an illusion. This is what happened. A materialist will think, well, next time. Can't wait for the next time. Right? Didn't learn a lesson. Didn't learn a thing. Right? Didn't learn a thing. But that's the sign of a sincere devotee or a sincere seeker of the truth, is when something goes wrong, one repents and one makes an endeavor to not let it happen again. Whereas someone who's insincere or a materialist, they don't think anything of it. Krishna's taken the time to teach a lesson here, and it's an essential lesson, because there's no question of advancing very far in Krishna consciousness or getting out of the material world unless we learn this lesson. Not to allow ourselves to be bewildered by the illusion of the material world. So, now how's that possible? I just heard a quote the other day. I heard it twice in a lecture by Radhanath Maharaj, and I saw it referred to as actually a verse in the scriptures. It says that to remove all these anarthas and material desires in the jiva's heart, to move those out of our heart on our own, is more difficult than moving Mount Sumeru. Now, do you think Mount Everest is a big mountain? Yeah, it's pretty big, right? Okay. It's nothing compared to Mount Sumeru. That's the big mountain in the middle of the universe. It goes for so many yojanas and this and that. So it's saying it's easier to actually push that out of the way than to remove all the things in our heart. So what are we supposed to do? That's pretty discouraging, isn't it? That's very discouraging. Like, well, okay, I might as well just put my bead bag down, right? I'm never going to make it. I mean, who here can press 50 pounds, can lift 50 pounds? Yeah, 50 pounds. Okay. How about 100? You? 100 pounds? You can lift 100 pounds? Okay. So how about a mountain like how about let's start with something small like Coles Mountain over here, right? Like that. How about that mountain of pots in the kitchen? Can anyone move that and clean it? Let's try that one. That's a hard one here also. The mountain of pots in the kitchen. Let's clean that. So, is that an accurate statement? Yes. So what do? We take shelter. The devotee takes shelter of the Lord, takes shelter of the holy name, understanding our very, very tiny and fallen position, that we're completely dependent upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In fact, that's one of the 6 symptoms of surrender, to be completely dependent on the Lord. He's our maintainer and our protector, and we're completely dependent that Krishna, if you don't help me, how in the world will I ever get out of here? So one's always conscious of that. One's always very, very dependent upon the Lord. Trinadapi sunichena torodeva suhishtana manidamaniddena kirtaniya sadahari. One's very, very humble, like a blade of grass. One tolerant, like a tree. Devoid of all sense of false prestige and ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. So, and Lord Śiva, the second verse is explaining that after this happened, what was his primary realization was, Krishna is amazing. Krishna is so amazing that just in a blink of an eye, look what he did to me. I'm so happy to have such a merciful and powerful Lord like that. It's not that we go out of our way to have Krishna, to go into Maya and then always appreciate how Krishna's Maya is so strong. That's not what's being referred to here. Boy, I just really got into Maya last weekend, and Krishna's amazing, isn't he? His Maya is so strong. Let's see what happens next weekend. It's not like that. One is appreciating Krishna's kindness and mercy and always trying to help us out of this material world. So devotees are always appreciating Krishna's kindness. Sometimes it comes up that devotees may feel, where is Krishna? I'm praying, and I'm not making much advancement, or this or that, or I don't feel Krishna's presence, But actually one calms down a little bit, and one can actually see how Krishna is doing so many different things to help us in our Krishna consciousness. It's a matter of being very, very sensitive to that, and appreciating that, and building upon that. Krishna is on call. He's not on call, he's there. He's not on call, he's there 24/7. Krishna doesn't sleep. It's not like the super soul goes to sleep when we go to sleep. And when the alarm goes off, super soul kind of gets up, dusts himself off. Oh, okay, it's time for another day of devotional service. No, Krishna's eternally there just trying to help. What's he doing? He's just trying to help. That's all he's doing. He's just waiting for us to call, and to the extent we call, to the extent of the urgency of our call, he will respond. If it's not that urgent, Krishna, what's he supposed to do? Because he's not going to force us. So devotees who have a sense of urgency in the devotional service, Krishna reciprocates to the same extent of that urgency. So we ask ourselves, how urgent is our desire to become Krishna conscious? Or if that's not the desire to get out of the material world. Because they say in advertising, there's 2 ways you can advertise something. Did you know that? There's 2 ways you advertise something to people. One is you present them a type of enjoyment. The other is you present them relief from pain. Now, which of the 2 is more effective in advertising? Second one, relief from pain. So at our level of Krishna consciousness, it's actually relief from pain. I'm really suffering, Krishna. Please help me. Please help me. The happiness that's there for the pure soul is something we can't even imagine. But we do have experience of suffering in the material world. Has anyone here had any experience of suffering in the material world? Well, your hand went up real quick, Guru Krishna. Before I even got out of my mouth. Okay, but no one else raised their hand. So Guru Krishna is actually a candidate for pure devotional service. Like that. We've suffered a lot in this life, and it's an interesting thing that when we suffer, we forget. Actually, we forget. It's called the covering potency. We say, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. We forget. We forget our suffering yesterday, last week, a year ago, decade ago. Then we even forget, by Krishna's grace, the suffering in previous lifetimes. But it's a continuum of so much suffering: birth, death, disease, and old age, and the threefold miseries. Miseries arising from our own mind and body. Miseries arising from other living entities and natural disturbances and so on. And they're always there. They're always, if it's not, like they say, it's not one thing, it's another. And that's true. It's the material world. It's called the threefold miseries. Durga has a trident. Trident. What does that mean? 3 prongs. And that represents the threefold miseries. And he's always stabbing, poking. So we're always getting poked. Like that. Just like right now, everyone in this room is suffering. Right? You got to move your legs. Like that. Your back hurts, this and that. Kind of bored about who's giving class today. Wondering when prasadam is. There's some kind of, or worrying about, oh no, after class I got to do this and I got to do that. And this happened last week and I owe so much money and this and that and all these different things. It just comes and comes. It's like waves and waves and waves of suffering. So the devotee is praying, Ainandatunujikinkaram patitam mam vishame bhavam budhao. Who sees the material world as bhavam budhao, an ocean of suffering, except the devotees? They understand this is what the material world is. We have to see it like that. We want to get out. Krishna, help. You know, Prabhupada always gives the example, you may be an expert swimmer, but when you fall overboard, unless someone throws you a rope, it's over. I had a conversation with someone the other day about these cruises, you know, these big cruises. All those people fall or get pushed. You know, people go on a honeymoon and one of them gets pushed overboard. like that. 50th anniversary, you know. So it happens. Or people drink too much and they just fall overboard. There's nothing they can do. Middle of the night, someone falls overboard, that's it. Sorry. In the middle of the Atlantic or the Pacific or something like that. Unless someone says, they go, man overboard, right? And they stop the ship and they turn around, they go rescue, you're finished. So the material world's like that. It's an ocean of all kinds of problems and suffering. So to the extent we realize that and call out to Krishna, we have no chance. So even if that's what they say when we read these pastimes of Lord Śiva here, or Lord Brahma having some trouble. These different pastimes, or any devotee having trouble, any spiritual aspirant having trouble, what's the lesson? Yeah, what chance do we have? Like that, instead of ha ha ha. So materials will go ha ha ha. See? An envious person will go, I knew he wasn't very advanced. I knew it. Like that. I knew this was going to happen. Envious. It's like my mother tells a story. We had a friend when we were growing up. She was a high school friend, my brothers and all that. And she was from a well-to-do family there in Smithtown on Long Island, when we lived on Long Island. And over the years, I kept in touch with my parents and so on. And my parents were invited to her wedding. Nice Jewish wedding. And they're remarking that they're at this table, or sitting in the chairs, watching the wedding go on. And these 2 elderly women, Jewish ladies, were each talking about, give them 2 weeks, I'll give them a month. You know, like that. Just, you know, it's like, just like going off. Kvetching, is that what you call it? Kvetching? You know, it's like right in the middle of the wedding. They're talking to each other. I'll give them just like envious. You know, like, I'll give them 2 weeks, I'll give them a month. So that's materialistic consciousness, like that. But a saintly person, they don't want to see anyone suffer, especially a devotee, and that's all they learn from it. Oh, this is what happened. I better be very, very careful. I better be very, very careful. So that's the lesson that comes out of this. For all of us, Krishna arranged this pastime for that particular lesson. You have to be very, 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 very careful. And Prabhupada said the one symptom of, I guess he said the American devotees, right? Not afraid of Maya. So you're not afraid of Maya. Maya's like your chum, best friend. Not afraid of Maya, not afraid of illusion. So you have to be very, very careful. You have to be scared. You never, like you walk around a corner, the devotee goes, boo! And you're like, oh, wow. You get really scared. You ever try to scare someone like that? Scare your kids like that sometimes? They try to scare you too. So you do that, you're not expecting, someone does that. And or you just walk around the corner, oh my goodness, you're really scared. So you got to be really, Maya, oh no, watch out. You got to be really scared instead of, hey, I've been looking for you. It shouldn't be like that. I've been looking for you. Like that. So we have to be able to discriminate what is illusion, what's reality, what's Krishna, what's Maya, and to be afraid. That's the emotion. Oh, I'm afraid. Like that. Churu was giving a lecture. I was just listening to it in India. And then after the class, he said, oh, questions. And devotees wanted to know about his life in Krishna consciousness. Charu, yeah, Charu there, and he was saying different things. But the main thing he said was, as far as they always ask, you've been practicing Krishna consciousness for 40, 50 years, and enthusiastic. He said, what lesson can you tell us? Your main lessons that you're able to just go on in Krishna consciousness. And one of the things he said was that I'm afraid of the alternative. You have to be afraid of the alternative. If you're not engaged in devotional service, and what is your future? What would have happened? So it's fearful like that. You don't want to go there. But illusion's very, very strong, just like here. That's the point. You don't want to get to that point where you fall into illusion. That was a devotee. What was his name? I don't know his name. He gave class here. He was like a GBC, and I remember he was a householder, right? He gave class, and a few days later, Chaitanya Charan was here. Yeah. He made that point. He was quoting that verse in the Bhagavad Gita that, what is that? By contemplating the object, Jayato. He was just saying he said, don't get that far. Don't let it get that far, because once it gets there, you go down. It's like a slippery slope. You know what a slippery slope is? It's like an incline. All of a sudden, you start slipping, and then you can't stop. Bye. There's nothing to stop you. So as soon as it's jayato vishayam, as soon as we contemplate the object of the senses, it's pretty much hasta la vista. Goodbye. Like that. So you have to be careful not to get to that point. So be very, very careful. Don't let me get to that point. Always keep our mind fixed on Krishna, like Ambarish Maharaj. Savaimana Krishna Padara Vindayo. Always thinking of Krishna. And what does that mean for us? We're not on that platform of, that means the lotus feet of Krishna means service. Always meditating on our service, increasing our service, making our service high quality. That type of meditation will protect us from coming to the edge of that slippery slope. Because once you go, it's just like, hey, then you have to pick up the pieces at the bottom of the slope and bring you back. We don't want to have to go through that. So it's 8:37. I've over spoke my time. So any questions or comments on these lessons from this pastime of Lord Śiva? And of course, there's some more verses, and I'm sure it'll be elaborated on even more in future verses. It's pretty quiet. Did I scare everyone? Too clear. Okay. Should I say something ambiguous? Like that. Microphone? There's one to the left there on the chair.
Every morning we read a little bit from this Namamrita. And what we read today was the importance of chanting Hare Krishna 24 hours a day, which is pretty not easy to do. But it's a repeated instruction of Prabhupada, and it's apparently what we're supposed to strive for, And you can see how that, if you're able to do that, if you cultivate that, I know it's not easy. I had to chant in the middle of the night, and everything, and sleeping. But that's a protection. If you're generally hearing and thinking of the holy name, that attraction to the holy name, and Krishna is all attractive, will inure you against any Maya attraction. So it's amazing how all of the instructions, everything, support each other. So it's like that. So just thinking of that, how we're given the process. That's the only hope in this age. Kalir dosha nidirajan. But if we chant sincerely, and there has to be that, like Mahatma, has really investigated in his lectures the different intricacies of the chanting, and there has to be the feeling, there has to be the emotion behind it, that you're generally calling upon the Lord, please engage me in your service. Like, Kunti, I love this prayer, O Madhava, please ever fill my mind with thoughts of thee, not any other kind. Well, we have to endeavor to do that. If we can always be thinking of Krishna and glorifying Krishna, then we'll be attracted to Krishna, and Maya will not be able to touch us. But that determination to do that is not so easy to get. You know. Otherwise, there is verses in the Bhagavatam. One of Brahma's prayers, I think, for creative energy, or maybe the description of the kingdom of God. He has this verse that just keeps coming back to me. Yanna vajandaka bador vajananavaraj. If someone hears words, you know, that are not in glorification of Krishna, then these words, they destroy one's intelligence, matigni. They take away all of one's good fortune, and they throw him down into the hellish situation. So it's so much dependent on the sound vibration that we hear and repeat, you know. And we're given this ocean of, you know, CC and the Bhagavatam, they're filled with so much. If we just focus on that, explain it, share it with each other, read it to each other, then Maya will not have the same pull. You know, you'll be able to stay clear.
Okay, so we can end here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.